It seems like everybody has made it in from the lobby, so welcome to the Queen's Residence Move-In webinar, everyone. I'll just mention one more time how you can turn on live captions. So if you'd like to add captions, you can select the More icon on the top right of your screen with the three dots, select Language and Speech, and then finally click on Show Live Captions. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and it will be available for viewing on the Student Experience Office webpage within a few business days. So to introduce myself, my name is Ella. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the first year Foundations student lead with the Student Experience Office this summer. I'm going into my fourth year at Queen's and I'm majoring in math and minoring in computer science. I'm going to be your host for the webinar this evening. So I'd like to start with a quick land acknowledgement, which is over on the next slide. Before we begin this webinar, I just want to really acknowledge and reflect on the history of the land that Queen's University is situated on. Kingston is located on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe Indigenous peoples. And my intention in acknowledging this traditional territory is to recognize the significance for the Indigenous peoples who lived and continue to live upon it, and whose practices and spiritualities are tied to the land and continue to develop in relationship to the territory and its other inhabitants today. As a settler and uninvited guest, I try and make an effort in my daily life to educate myself about Indigenous culture and practices by attending Indigenous-led events on campus and exploring Indigenous spaces, and I encourage all of you at home to do the same. I recently had the opportunity to take a walking tour of Indigenous spaces and art on Queen's campus and kind of reflect on what they can tell me about Indigenous experience. A particular space that I enjoyed exploring was the Endayon Teganusadeh Residence Courtyard. It features a large gathering space filled with Indigenous symbolism. In the center of the space, there's a large turtle shell, which really reminded me about Turtle Island, which is the Indigenous name for the continent of North America. And it also reminded me about Indigenous teachings centered on interconnection with the land and encouraged me to reflect. It's important to reflect on Indigenous history and teachings and to continue to contribute to a more inclusive community that works toward reconciliation. If any of this is new to you, or if you'd like to learn more, I encourage you to explore the resources offered by the Office of Indigenous Initiatives and the Four Directions Indigenous Student Center, both online and on campus here at Queen's. Thank you for taking this moment to learn and reflect with me. I'm now going to pass it over to our main speaker for today, Emma, who's the Manager of Residence Conduct and Support. Welcome, Emma.
Hi, Ella. Thank you so much for having me. So welcome everybody to the webinar this evening. We're so excited for you to join us. And I believe it's only about 24 days until we see you if you are planning on moving in on September 5th. So we are counting down the days. We're very excited, and we're excited to give you some more information about what your move-in may look like. So we have our meeting agenda for the day, and so we're going to be chatting about packing for residents, preparing your computer and internet services, where to find your information about your building and how to get it. We'll also talk about our move-in day schedule and what's happening on campus, and then we'll give you an opportunity to ask some questions in the chat. So we'll jump right into it. So before you move into residences, there's a couple different things that you need to be doing. And so tomorrow will be one of those communications that you're going to be receiving. So prior to your moving in, you're going to be submitting your photo for the student ID card. You're going to be accepting your residence contract and signing it through the portal. And then you're going to be selecting your move-in time. And then you're going to be completing the pre-arrival module. And so it is a module that involves information about your residence contract, the residence community living standards, and living in residences. We also have the It Takes All of Us module. And so this is a module that was co-developed at Queen's, and it reviews topics of sexual violence, sexual consent, bystander intervention, and supporting survivors. So for your reference tomorrow, just to ensure that you have access to the space and to the portal, we want to make sure that you're reducing any chances of timing out. And so we encourage you to access the portal only on one device at the time at the system. And this will help prevent errors when you're trying to sign the residence contract or selecting your move-in time. And we appreciate that everyone's very excited to pick their residence move-in time slot. And we want to reassure you that we do have ample time slots available for your selection throughout the move-in weekend. And so there's more move-in time slots available to folks than we have folks moving in. And so we want to make sure that there's flexibility for when you are picking your time slot. When it comes to selecting your move-in time, you will have to, again, go through that process of picking your move-in time slot and submitting the student ID and the residence contract. So once you finish doing that, you're going to see some time slot options available to you. If you are looking to move in on the early move-in period, so Friday, September 4th, we have two separate time slots that you can select. So we have a time slot from 5 p.m. until 6 p.m. and then 6 p.m. till 7 p.m. And there are fees associated with that one. We then have four other move-in time slots available to you folks for Saturday, September 5th. And so that would be 8 a.m. till 10 a.m., 10 a.m. till 12 p.m., 12 p.m. till 2 p.m., and 2 p.m. till 4 p.m. I do want to really stress as well that we appreciate that you folks come at this specific time frame for your move-in time slot, especially if you have the first time slot of the day. Our keys are going to be arriving prior to the self-selection time for, or sorry, the move-in time slot opening up for you on either the 4th or the 5th. And so getting there early does not mean you're going to be getting your keys early. We do kick to the move-in time slots just to make sure that we're managing all the traffic on campus and we have enough support for you folks when you're accessing our buildings and unloading and everything. And so just really want to remind folks that if you get to the stadium at 6 a.m. to pick up your keys on Saturday, September 5th, the keys will not be ready for you until 8 a.m., which might be your actual time slot. And so just keep that in mind when you're planning all of your travel for that day. Once you select the move-in time slot, you're going to be saving that selection on the portal and then submitting it. And then you can go back into the portal and take a look at your time slot as well. If you have questions about that process or kind of can have any concerns, anything like that, again, we encourage you to reach out to reslife@queensu.ca and somebody from our team will get back to you about your question. Now, we get to the fun bits and pieces about what will our rooms look like? What kind of items do we want to bring? And so we always encourage folks to pack what they think they're going to be needing, especially in that first week, what's really critical to your space, and kind of what are the belongings that you find important. There's always time to bring more items into the space, but it's a good idea to get a feel for what you're looking at and kind of what the rooms are actually feeling like to you. So we encourage folks to bring bedding and pillows, sometimes an Ethernet cable, wireless router, depending on what building you're in, maybe a fan if that's something you may feel more comfortable with. I will note that air conditioners are not prohibited appliances, so please do not bring an air conditioning unit for your space. You might also want to bring a small cart for moving items, but we do have carts available on move-in day for you to use. We just don't have 5,000 of them for every single student. So there may be just a bit of a delay in getting the next cart that comes available. So our residence facility office will have those and they'll be available on campus on your move-in time. For each student in your rooms themselves, we do provide a bed, a desk, a bookshelf, and a desk chair, a dresser, a mirror, and a bulletin board. The beds are adjustable. They're kind of latched into each of the posts. So what happens is it just needs a little people power sometimes, depending on how warm the day might be, just to wiggle it up, and then you latch it on whatever height you'd like. So sometimes that eliminates the need for folks to bring bed risers. And so always good to keep that in mind about what you might be storing possibly under your bed. Since the bed sizes can vary in each of the buildings, we encourage you to check the building's website to see the information there prior to buying any bed linens, comforters, anything like that. And so in Smith House, Brant House, Leggett, Leggett and Watts halls, they all have double beds, which require queen-sized bed sheets. And I don't mean Queen's University size, I mean just regular old standard queen size. And then every other building has twin size beds, which require twin extra long sheets. A couple of our residence buildings as well, so Smith House, Brant House, and Antigonice do have mini fridges in each of the rooms. And so take that into consideration prior to coming and maybe bringing a fridge, as your residence room might already have that available to you. Many students not allocated to those residences do choose to bring a mini fridge, and we recommend purchasing one or kind of seeing what's on Facebook Marketplace, for example, or getting it secondhand. And we say about 3.5 cubic feet for the amount of storage there. We recognize everybody might want to bring their own. Also good if you're in a multi-occupancy room to check in with the people you're going to be living with to see if they're also planning a room or to bring a fridge, because you never know how many fridges may end up in a space. So always good to think those pieces through. And so again, you can take a look at our website to see what else is included in your room or look at any of the photos if that helps you visualize what you want to bring. Some folks as well bring mattress toppers, hangers, desk lamps, storage boxes, first aid kit, laundry items, decorations, shower flip-flops, toiletry kits. And so truly it's up to your personal comforts, but just keep in mind that you may not have all the space that you have had in the past. And so think about it. When it comes to leaving items at home, we do have a list of prohibited items within the residence contract, but on residence move-in day itself, we do say, please do not bring any alcohol or illegal drugs into residences. We also say, please leave your pets at home on move-in day. And unless you're in the pet-friendly community or have an approved service animal, we ask that you don't bring any pets to residences. That's because we want to make sure that everyone is feeling comfortable. We're managing people's safety and health. And it's just nicer to make sure that we're not always checking in on an animal in the car, anything like that, because you also, I'm assuming, will not be leaving it unattended. So just think that one through a little bit. We also mentioned toaster ovens, microwaves, rice cookers, or kind of those cooking style appliances, especially ones that are creating heat. Additional furniture, you are able to swap out your office chair or your desk chair in your residence room, but there's an expectation that it is returned back to the room or it is in the room by the time you move out in the same state that it was when you moved into the space. We also include halogen lamps and weapons as items to not bring. So with that, orientation week, so from September 4th until September 14th, for folks who might be moving in a little bit earlier, please note that it is a substance-free orientation week. And so no alcohol or illegal substances or legal substances are allowed in our residences, even for students who are 19 plus. And then only after orientation, alcohol is allowed for students who are 19 plus in our residence buildings. I'd also like to point out that if you are taking a look and thinking about possibly bringing a fridge or are thinking about kind of what food items might I make, what might I have in my room, our common rooms do come with microwaves in each of the spaces. But if you are looking to get or thinking about trying to have a microwave in your room itself, please know that a single microwave as is standing alone is a prohibited item in residences. However, if you are renting the micro fridge, as it's called, so a microwave fridge combo, from the company called Coldex. That is technically an approved appliance within Queen's Residences and within the residence contract, so it is not a contract violation. It meets all of the safety standards that we have in residences. We've been able to review the electrical needs for it. So if you are somebody who maybe is thinking about using both a microwave and a fridge in your space, that would be a great option for you. Yeah. So residences are high density living environments. And so the use of electrical devices, so for example, kettles, computing mobile devices, hairstyling tools, those kind of items can place a really heavy strain on the electrical infrastructure that we have in our building and might cause false fire alarms. So that means you would have to evacuate the building. And so in order to minimize those false fire alarms or any breaker issues, we just ask that you don't bring any of those personal cooking appliances. These items are prohibited by residences and we'll ask you to bring them home or to remove them if they are being brought into residences. And then similarly, if you're ordering them throughout the year, as I'm going to chat with you in a little bit, parcels go through the Watts Parcel Depot. And so if any of those items are coming up, they get flagged and then we follow up with our students directly on that one. We also have a really strong commitment to sustainability. And so we encourage you to consider buying used items for your room or bringing items from home, as well as not bringing any excess packaging. I'm sure you don't also want to clutter up your space with a lot of packaging, cardboard boxes, anything like that. And so we encourage you, if you have the ability to unwrap these items ahead of time, recycle them ahead of time prior to bringing them onto campus. When it comes to your personal devices or your computer coming onto campus and living in residences, so for PCs, please apply all the Windows critical updates, ensure that antivirus software is current, and then ensure that your NetID is activated. And please don't forget your password. It will be very helpful for you throughout your time here at Queen's. For more information on this, you can visit the website listed on this slide for the checklist and our IT guide along with the free software. When it comes to wireless access in your communities, as I mentioned, our newest buildings have wireless access in each of the rooms, as do the common room areas on ground level and all three residence dining halls. So that would be the Jean Royce Dining Hall on West Campus, the Bannery Dining Hall on Main Campus, as well as the Leonard Dining Hall on Main Campus. And so we do not provide Ethernet cables for rooms that don't have wireless internet. And so you may need to bring your own, and you'll need to bring possibly an adapter if that's something your device might need. So many laptops do come with a supplied Ethernet cable, but you may need to check into that if you didn't get one as well. Many students do choose to bring their own wireless router, and you can find more information again by looking at the router instructions website at the bottom of this slide. Now, when it comes to arriving on campus, so this is kind of the big info that you're going to be getting, and we're going to be communicating this to you folks and through email, and you'll be able to take a look at it many times over. So you will be receiving a personalized email with your driving directions the week of August 31st and your zone card. And I'm going to show you zone cards in the next slide. Now, we say we're going to be providing you driving instructions because we work really closely with the city of Kingston and with Kingston Police and Queens Parking to adjust how some of the roads are working around our campus and within our university district. So we say if you want to use your GPS to bring you to the city of Kingston, absolutely. But once you get to the area on our move-in map, we do have specific routes outlined for each of your building communities. And so we always say, please don't use your GPS once you get to close around campus or using online maps, Google Maps. Please don't trust what they tell you. Please look at what we are sending you and the information we have provided to you, because that will be the best route for you to access your keys and then access campus parking and getting into your residences. So what you're going to do ahead of time is make sure that you know your student number, your building, and your room number. So we often see a lot of students pull up the email on their phones or have them printed out when they go to pick up their keys. That's super helpful for us when we're checking you in, just so we can see all the information in front of us. And then we ask that you print your zone card in color and set it on your car dashboard prior to your move-in time. And so when you're rolling into your building area or your building zone or into Richardson Stadium, we take a look at what that zone card is, and that helps us sort traffic and make sure that you folks are going in the right direction that you need to be going in. So with our next slide, we do have 3 examples of different zone cards with 3 different route instructions. And so everybody has a different way to get to campus or from Richardson Stadium or your key pickup location. So for example, we have Victoria Hall, Waldron Tower, and Gordon Brockington House. So Victoria Hall, you're going to be picking up your keys from the Richardson Stadium. You're then going to be, so you're going south on Sir John A. Macdonald Road or Boulevard. You're pulling into the Water Tower Lane, picking up your keys at the stadium, and then you're following Johnson all the way east until you get to University. And then once your map changes from a solid line to a dotted line, the dotted line means those are the routes to your parking lot designated for your specific zone. So we ask that you take a look at that and kind of scope out what that parking lot might look like ahead of time, or take a look on maps, just so you might be able to visualize it maybe a little bit better if that's helpful for you. A couple of our buildings do not pick up keys from Richardson Stadium, and you're picking it up directly from your building. And so Waldron Tower and Gordon Brockington House are 2 examples of this. And so you would follow your designated route all the way down, for example, for Gordon Brockington House, you're going to be going down Sir John A. Boulevard, south on Collingwood, and then you're going to be dropping off outside of the unloading zone. So again, always good to take a look at this. When you arrive, we are going to be giving you a little kind of parking permit for 3 hours. On the flip side of that is also a map of the move-in routes as well as parking lots. So it's always good. Don't worry, we will always have a copy of that if you are always, or if you're looking for any further information, or if any questions are popping up, feel free to ask us about that one. For my folks who might be moving in on Friday, all of your key pickups will be taking place at Richardson Stadium for all buildings starting at 5 p.m. And as I mentioned before, we have 2 different time slots for your selection. So once you have your time slots ready to go, you're arriving to Richardson Stadium to pick up your keys. You're going to pick up those keys, you're going to be sent on your specific route to your building. You're going to be able to unload and then go to short-term parking as well. Please note that we do have a limited amount of volunteers on Friday night. We do still have folks to help you move in, and we're so excited to welcome you on the Friday. But we will have just a few less volunteers than we normally have on the September 5th. Food options are going to be available for folks who are arriving onto campus at that point. They're going to be open until 11 p.m. So Leonard Dining Hall will be open for dinner service until 7 p.m. And then Location 21, which is a retail outlet located in Victoria Hall, is going to be open until 11 p.m. For my folks that are moving in on Saturday, as I mentioned before, we have various check-in locations for you to take a look at. So Richardson Stadium, for example, contains the red, green, yellow, and teal zones. So those buildings would be Bannery Hall, Victoria Hall, Adelaide Hall, Chown Hall, Leggett Hall, David C. Smith House, Brant House, McNeil House, Morris Hall, Watts Hall, and Antigonish today. And then all other buildings that were not mentioned within the red, green, yellow, or teal zone are picking up your keys from your residence building itself. And so as a reminder, as I had already said before, please just follow your individualized instructions to ensure a smooth move-in. And so again, you're going to be getting copies of this map. And so if I know it might be showing up a little bit small on your screen, you will be getting the full size of it when you receive our communications. Logistically, check-in, what will this look like? So you're going to follow your personalized directions to your check-in location. Again, as I said, you're going to have that check-in email ready. It'll have your name, student number, building, room number. We're going to check your government issue ID. So please, 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 please bring a form of ID that we can take a look at. It's okay if it's a passport. It's okay if it's a driver's license. Any form of government ID is really helpful for us just because we like to verify who we're talking to, making sure we're handing the keys out to the right folks. Your photo for your student card must have been received and your contract must be signed for you to receive those keys. And we also say, please complete again that pre-arrival module and the It Takes All of Us module prior to your arrival. But failure to complete the photo being submitted as well as your contract being signed means that in that moment, if you're arriving to pick up your keys, we will ask you to complete those pieces at that time, which will delay your move-in a little bit. And so we just, again, want to make it as smooth as possible for you folks. And then finally, you're going to be receiving your keys, your student ID, as well as your check-in package. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit more in a moment. So after you've received your keys, you're going to make your way to your residence building by following the signage as well as staff directions. We will poster all of the university district and put signage everywhere in the university district. And so we will have signs leading you from whatever zone you might be directly to that building. And so when in doubt, just take a look around. We work really closely with the city, as I mentioned, just to make sure that we have all those routes ready to go for you folks. And so take a look at your move-in map and the signage that we have. So when you arrive to your residence building by car, you're going to find the available unloading zone. We will have folks in high visibility vests. We will have greeters ready for you. Essentially anybody that you see within residences or around residences that's wearing a red t-shirt that says move-in day. Those are folks who are able to help you and answer any questions that you might have. And if they might not have the answer, we'll find somebody who will have the answer for you. And so immediately, once you park your car there, you're going to be in the temporary unloading zone. And so what happens is you then start to remove items from your vehicle. We ask that the driver stays with the vehicle just because we're going to be chatting with them, getting information about what your phone number might be, and putting the parking pass on your dashboard. Should you be parked in a place that you should not be parked, what happens is we try to make contact with you a couple times, and then your car may be receiving a friendly tow into one of our designated parking lots just so that we can continue to move traffic, but there is no fee associated with that. And it is fairly close to campus as well. And it's one of our designated parking lots for some of our buildings. So a staff member and volunteers will greet you outside of the residence building, and they're going to assist in unloading those items. Again, what those cards might be available, and we even help you bring things to your room. So if you are unloading things ahead of time, as you can see in this photo, it's really good to have labels on those boxes or your bins or your totes, just so we know what room the volunteers might be bringing your items to. And again, it just helps kind of spread the amount of work that's being done, so it's not just you unloading your stuff. Once you have unloaded your car, we ask that the driver moves the vehicle to the designated parking lot based on the zone that you're in, and then they can return to the residence building and continue to help you with your move-in process. And so once the car is unloaded, as I mentioned, driver goes to the parking lot, then returns to the residence building. And so we say it's about 5 minutes to unload the vehicle. Again, we say that because we know we will have helpers available to support that. And we have folks around. And so if you have also any accessibility needs, anything like that, we recommend chatting with anybody who's wearing those high visibility vests. Sorry, that was a challenging one for me to say, just because they can provide you a bit more information about parking or anything else like that. Jumping directly back into parking. So as said before, you're dropping off all those items. outside of the loading zone. We ask that you just don't leave your vehicle unattended throughout that process until you're in your final parking lot. Parking is provided at designated parking spaces, and so it's based on where your building location is and the nearest parking lot there. And so we have specific buildings going to specific lots. So just keep an eye on that. You'll receive that temporary parking pass in your unloading zone, and it has that timestamp on it again, so we know where everyone is at. And then again, please follow the directions to provide to avoid any traffic congestion. We will have folks helping out with traffic and kind of helping folks around campus. I will also say that if you are in a zone that has underground parking, the maximum height clearance is 7 feet 2 inches. And so always good to try and measure that out ahead of time rather than getting to the parking garage and seeing whether or not you fit into the parking garage. It just makes it a lot easier on traffic, minimizes the amount of congestion, but also helps us assess where you might need to park. And so maybe measure ahead of time if you have any roof racks or boxes on top. Always good to know the height of your vehicle prior to testing its height out in the actual underground parking lots. Parking is limited to a maximum of 3 hours, and then there is also city parking within the university district available throughout the move-in time period and that week. As I mentioned before, we really value sustainability and a sustainable move-in, and our intention is to minimize the amount of waste that we are creating, but also the amount of waste happening on campus. So again, as I said before, pack items in reusable totes and bins. They make great storage throughout the year, and so it's kind of two for one purpose. Remove the packaging of items ahead of time if you have the ability to, stacking containers into other containers. And then what we ask is you bring any waste or recycling to the garbage rooms in each of your residence buildings. If you see a trash can that's overflowing, please don't take that as an invitation to add more into it. We really want to make sure that we're bringing any trash or recycling into the right space. All of our garbage rooms also do have spaces where folks can recycle any batteries that they might have. And so keep that in mind if at any point in time you have any devices or anything that might need to recycle any batteries. When it comes to the move-in process, as we said, this is just a good summary of it all. So vehicle is going to go to the key pickup location. Keys are going to be either at Richardson Stadium or within your building. And so again, we will send you all a personalized email depending on which building community you're a part of with those specific instructions. The unloading team will then greet the car and provide the parking pass. Volunteers will help you unload. Again, the driver stays with the vehicle about 5 minutes maximum in that unloading zone. And then once the car is unloaded, you're moving the vehicle over to a parking lot that's designated for your zone. And then cars cannot be left unattended in the unloading zone or they will be towed. Student can enter the building and collect keys or carry belongings inside. And then you're going to be setting up your room and then bringing all of your garbage or recycling to the designated spaces in your building. We have signage across our buildings to help navigate the buildings to find the garbage and recycling rooms, any elevators that might be in the building, and generally help you wayfind within the community. So in preparing for move-in day, prepare for a busy day. So we encourage everybody to bring snacks, refillable water bottles. With the high volume traffic that does happen within the city of Kingston, again, we're welcoming many thousand of you into our community. And so inevitably, there is going to be a little bit of congestion no matter what. So the best way to handle those traffic conditions is to follow those specific instructions that we provided to you. And then please refrain from using the traffic applications once you've arrived on campus or when you're in that university district area or close to campus. There will be limited options for food available on campus during move-in day. The first meal being provided will be that dinner time on the September 5th. And so we suggest bringing refillable water bottles, some items to keep snacking on possibly. And then again, we ask that you don't bring your family pet. When it comes to food, we have your meal plan. So your meal plan becomes active the evening of move-in day. So when we check you in, that activates your student card, and that's what you're using to swipe at the dining hall. And so that's why we want you to know where your student card is at all times and that you have it available to you. And if you lose it, you flag it immediately and come to one of the front desks. And so you'll have access to your full meal plan that's included in your residence fees. So again, our residence dining halls are all you care to eat style. For the fall semester, the meal plan includes 19 dining hall meals available to you each week, and that reset every single week. And they do not carry forward into the next week. And so if you only use 17 of those meals, the remaining 2 will not move forward into the following week. So any of the TAMs or the trade-in meals can be used in the retail locations and come off the weekly 19 as well. And so location 21, for example, is one of those retail outlets that will be open on September 5th. We have 4 different front desks and front desk locations across our residences. So Victoria Hall front desk is our central desk that's located, as it sounds, in Victoria Hall. We have the Jean Royce our Jean Royce Hall front desk at West Campus, so in Jean Royce Hall Phase 1, so the first building. It's directly across from the residence dining hall. We have the Antigoniense front desk, and then we have the Watts Hall Mail Depot desk. And so I'm going to jump into some mail information in our next slides, but all of mail, any kind of incoming mail that's coming to main campus for our students will go through the Watts Hall Mail Depot first. If you're at Jean Royce Hall, it will go directly to the Jean Royce Hall front desk. Now, when it comes to mail services, so we are opening up our parcel depot on Sunday, September 6th for you folks to collect any items. And so what happens is we are open Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. till 7 p.m. daily. Any students who are looking to send mail or receive mail and are living on main campus, you're going to be inputting your information as your name, your student number. Again, we want that in that the name line when you're entering that information. Watts Hall, Queen's University, 23 Lower Albert Street, Kingston, Ontario, K7L3V1. And then for folks who are living on West Campus at Jean Royce Hall, you have your own separate process. And so you're going to be using that mailing address. So again, your name, your student number, Jean Royce Hall, Queen's University, 535 Union Street, Kingston, Ontario, K7M2B9. So within our parcel tracking, what happens is we receive the mail, we scan it in just so we can make sure that we're tracking it. And so please don't immediately come to the front desk after you get a notification from a delivery saying that it's arrived. We do take 24 to 48 hours just to process that parcel or that letter mail. And then we reach out to you and email you through your Queen's email to let you know it's available for your pickup. It's important to use the correct mailing address based on which residence building you're going to be in, main campus or West Campus as well. And then again, we will be emailing you. Please bring a form of ID to the front desk. Your student card is absolutely perfect for that if you're wanting to pick up those items. We also want to really stress that we do not recommend sending any time-sensitive materials or items such as medications through the mail. Instead, if you have prescriptions, for example, we encourage you to send them to the Drug Smart Pharmacy in the Queen's Center on main campus as an option for you. There are also pharmacies across Kingston as well. So we will begin distributing those parcels on September 6th, and we will not be accepting deliveries prior to August 31st. So you're intending to send things to campus. Please know that prior to August 31st, they will not be received and they will be returned to sender. Any more information that you're looking for about our front desk services, we have on our residence website. And then the newsletter that you folks receive every Thursday also highlights this information. Now, a fun piece of your student card and your fees that you're paying for is part of the Kingston Transit Plan. So you're provided a transit pass, which is included in your tuition fees. Now, that pass itself is your student card. And so the student cards that we've used in the past year are a tap function. And so when you jump onto the bus, you're just going to tap it on the reader and then it will scan, and then you're welcome to use your transit pass. You can also use the transit trip planner to ensure mobility through Kingston. And then if you're living on West Campus at Jean Royce Hall, we do have somebody from Kingston Transit who will be on site on move-in day, happy to answer any questions for you. If you're trying to sort out what are the best routes to take to get to the mall, for example, to get to downtown, wherever it might be, they'll be able to help you out with that navigation. When it comes to staying in touch, there's many different ways that you can engage with our community. So any parents, families, or supporters with students living in residences, we encourage you to subscribe to the monthly Residence Connection newsletter. So that's going to be sent out and receive information and resources for you to help support your students' residence experience. And it's a really exciting thing that our communications team put together. I enjoy reading it every time it gets sent out. And then for our students, we send you out a weekly newsletter every Thursday full of relevant information that we might have coming up in residences. Any quick reminders, if we're entering into a no guest period in residences, for example, we'll give you more information about that. Our fire safety week in residences. And so we really change up what content we're sending to you every week. And so we always encourage folks to take a look at it just so you can see what's the most up-to-date information happening in residences and with housing and ancillary services and our dining team as well. Great. I will hand it back to Ella for some Q&A.
Thank you so much, Emma. So everyone at home, the floor is now yours for the Q&A portion of this webinar. So you can use the Q&A feature on the top of your screen to send in your questions, and feel free to use the anonymous feature as well if that makes you more comfortable. We're going to try and answer as many questions as we can during this webinar, but we also have a great team on the back end who's answering some more specific questions in the chat as well. So over on the next slide, we have a list of key resources and contact information. That way you can refer to it throughout the Q&A. But let me take a look and see what our first question is. Okay, our first question, where do we park our vehicle? Is overnight parking available?
Sure. So I mentioned a couple times in the presentation, but again, if you arrive at your building, you're going to be guided to stop your vehicle within the unloading zone. So there you're going to be entering your vehicle. Again, hopefully you're labeling all those items just so we know exactly where they're going to be going. So you're going to be putting those on the street outside your building. We'll have volunteers helping to move those items. After this is complete, a member of your family or support system or your driver is going to follow the route to get to the designated parking lot shown on your map. And then all the zones are required to park in their respective parking lots. And so if you do try to access a parking lot that isn't specific to your zone, you may be turned away. Also, if you do have an oversized vehicle or one that may not fit in one of our residents' parking lots, we do have a separate parking lot that we do send oversized vehicles or kind of vehicles that might be too tall. I'm combining words now into those parking lots. And so we'll give you those instructions if you're unsure about what direction to go. Feel free to ask. So the parking pass that we're going to be giving to you upon your arrival needs to be displayed on your vehicle's dash again, because we want to be able to contact you should something be going on in the community and with the vehicle, we need it moved, anything like that. It's always a great way for us to reach you. And so the pass will be valid for 3 hours and extended stays will be towed in the parking lot. So good to take note of that. You only get one parking pass. And so if you're exiting, re-entering, if it's outside of that time period where you received it, you'll likely not get another one. So once you're parked, the driver can then come back to the residence building on foot. And again, if you have accessibility needs, if you have any questions, please chat with our folks or reach out to us ahead of time, just so we can support you the best to our abilities on move-in day. And then overnight parking is not available. And so again, when we work with the city, we create special plans when it comes to parking within our university district and on campus. And so special parking restrictions are in place on September 4th as well as September 5th. And then vehicles who park overnight on those restricted spaces are at risk of being towed.
Thank you, Emma. Okay, our next question. Can my family and friends help me move in? Can they stay in my room overnight?
Absolutely, your family and friends can help you move in. We do say please only bring one vehicle. Just again, we're trying to manage many, many thousands of you coming to campus. And so we want to avoid having multiple vehicles taking up multiple spots. And so your friends and family are absolutely welcome to come and help. Again, we ask you to leave the family pet at home. And we have a no guest policy for orientation week. And so what that means is folks are not allowed to stay overnight or kind of stay with you for that extended period of time. And so September 4th until the 14th is when that no guest time frame is in effect. And so family members or friends or anybody who might be looking to stay overnight with you during that time frame will need to make alternative arrangements. And so there's many hotels close by. You can take a look at that on our Residence Move-In website. We have a couple of resources there and some tips for you. And we also have the Donald Gordon Conference Center. That is a very quick walk from main campus and a quick drive from main campus and West Campus. It's right in the middle of the two, and it's located on Union Street as well.
Thank you, Emma. Okay, our next question. What happens if I miss or I'm late for my move-in time due to unforeseen circumstances?
Yeah, absolutely. Things happen, life happens. We recognize there may be delays on the 401. We recognize you might be moving in multiple students into various universities at the same day and time. Who knows? And so it's absolutely okay if you're going to show up a bit later from or unforeseen circumstances. And so we ask that if you are running a bit late, if you're running a bit late but arrive prior to 4 p.m. on Saturday, September 5th, you may still follow the standard instructions for move-in day. Usually we do transport our keys back to main campus about 4:30 as we're packing up at the stadium, just because if anybody is showing up a little bit later, we'll send the keys to the appropriate front desk for your check-in. And so again, follow your zone card for those key pickup and check-in if you're within that time frame. And then if you're going to be arriving later into the evening, in the middle of the night, who knows what those plans might be, or on a different date, you're going to be collecting your keys and check into the residence via the Victoria Hall front desk if you are living on main campus this year, or the G. Norris Hall front desk if you are living on West Campus this year. And so if you have any other concerns, or if you're thinking you may arrive after September 5th, please reach out to us at reslife@queensu.ca, just so we know. If you don't arrive at your specific time slot, we're not going to be giving away your room. We're not going to give some other folks your room if they have that preference for that space. We won't do anything like that. It's just good for us to know where you might be so we can make sure those keys are available for you when you arrive.
Thank you, Emma. Okay, our next question. Is my student card also my key to my residence room?
So it depends on which residences you're going to be in. Your student card is only being used for access to the Athletics and Recreation Center, into the dining halls, Kingston Transit. You'll use it when you go to your exams. But to access your room yourself, depending on what type of building it might be, everybody receives a physical key fob. And so here, let me grab my keys. Ignore my little cat keychain. So this is the key fob that we give to our students as well as our staff. And so you're going to be tapping on the card reader or on the fob reader outside of the building to access those main doors. And then depending on the type of building that you might be in, your residence room might be also a tap reader as well. And so it would be the same reader that or key fob that you're going to be getting. So again, you tap it on your door to unlock, and then you tap it again to lock. And then if you are in a building that has a key fob and then a physical key for your space, I'm just going to show you a general key. This is not a room that I'm going to tell you about. This is for my office, actually. You're going to be receiving a physical key. And so the only folks who have this physical key are yourself. If you have a roommate or roommates, they'll have those keys. And then front desk also has those keys. Should you lose your keys at any point in time, day or night, doesn't matter time, please go to your closest front desk. And so that would likely be either G. Norris Hall front desk or Victoria Hall front desk to let them know that you've lost your keys. And then they're able to further support you with that.
Thank you. Okay, I can take this next question. And the question is, where can I find more information about other deadlines and things I need to do before September? So a really great resource to learn about all these important dates and deadlines is our Next Steps website. So it provides you with a checklist of all things you need to do to ensure you're prepared for your first year. And the steps are also divided by month, so you can use it to see all the upcoming tasks to get done, as well as to track the tasks that you've completed. So it's super, super helpful website. I would highly recommend that for anybody who's just looking at, I know there's a lot of dates and deadlines, so it's super, super helpful. Okay. Our next question, this one is a residence question. Let's see. When do residence activities start? What will residents be like in the first few days after I move in?
Yeah, sure. So resident activities begin as of September 5th. We do have some programming, I believe, happening on September 4th with some team members. But as of 4 p.m. on Saturday, September 5th, what happens is you're going to be either going for your first meal in your respective dining hall, or you're going to be doing your first community meeting. So that's the Uni 100 community meeting. And so within that meeting, you're going to be meeting your residents dawn. They're going to be all around the community throughout the day, no matter what. So you will see them hopefully earlier or throughout. But you're going to be meeting with them. You're going to be meeting your community members, seeing what's going on with them. You're going to be going for a family style meal at the dining hall together. And then you're going to be being brought into the welcome home night, which is the first orientation week activity. And so we do have a jam-packed schedule for you folks for that whole first week. And you're going to receive more information through your orientation. But we do like to kind of give a heads up, folks, that programming usually starts at about 4 p.m. on the Saturday, September 5th. And so just keep that in mind while you're unpacking your space, or when you're needing time to say your goodbyes. Maybe you just need a little bit more time to kind of take for yourself before you go and meet some new folks in your community or see some friends that you've joined the community with. And so figure out what works best for you. And I would say work on that timeline. But, 4 p.m. on Saturday, September 5th is when we're really jumping into it.
Thank you. I remember my first dinner with everybody on my floor that night, and that's when I actually met some of my first friends at Queen's. So definitely a very cool and very helpful experience moving into residence. Okay, our next question. What do I do if I am unable to move in on September 5th? Can I move in earlier, or can I move in later? And also, can I change my move-in time?
Sure. So again, please reach out to us, reslife@queensu.ca, if you might be delayed in the time slot that you've identified. Again, tomorrow when we release those move-in time slots, we do have those 2 time slots available for you on the Friday, September 4th for your arrival. I would say any other questions about moving in prior to that, we do have select groups that are moving in a little bit earlier, and that's organized through a separate process, and they may be part of specific clubs, anything like that. And so when in doubt, I always say email reslife@queensu.ca or send us a message on live chat or give us a call. And we're able to kind of explain it based on whatever situation you might be having at the moment.
Thank you. Okay, our next question. Is there Wi-Fi in all residence buildings? Do I need to bring an Ethernet cable and a router?
And so, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, it depends on the building itself. And so Wi-Fi is available within Brant, the John Deutsch University Center, also known as the grad residence. It is only first year students who live in that building. And so if that's a question you might have on the side, it is only first year students who are in that space. So yeah, JDAC, Smith, House, and Antigonides today. But if you may still want to bring a router, if you're setting up a printer, anything like that. And so in other residence buildings, you're going to be needing to bring your own router and connect to the internet in your bedroom. And then our IT team is going to be present on Saturday, September 5th for router supports. And they're doing select specific meeting times as well on the Monday.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our next question. Are laundry services available in all residence buildings? What type of laundry detergent should I use and how much does each load cost?
Yes, we have laundry services available in every one of our residence buildings. And so we use a company as well as an app. It's called Coinomatic. So Coinamatic. Coinomatic. And so that's where you're going to be paying for your laundry. So you preload money onto it. Our laundry machines are high efficiency. And so keep that in mind when you're looking at products to use within them. So each load is going to cost $2.50 for a wash and $2.50 for a dry. And so one of the things you might be choosing to do, it's also a great sustainability measure, is if you want to bring your own clothes drying rack, you're more than welcome to do that and set that up in your residence room if you're looking to kind of save a little money there, or if you're wanting to keep some of those clothes out of the dryer. So overall, if you're going to be doing a full wash and dry cycle, that would be about $5. I would always recommend pods, but I just don't like messing about with the liquid. I'm a klutzy human being. I spill things on myself, and so a pod is easy to just pop into the laundry machine. But again, as long as it's high efficiency detergent, it will work.
Perfect. I remember in first year, I don't think I ever dried my laundry. I set up a drying rack in my room. I air dried everything. So you can
Yeah,
definitely do it for everybody watching. It
it's a good
works great.
option. I did too.
Yeah. Okay, our next question. My family will want to tour around Queens when they help me move in. What will be open on campus?
So because it is the weekend and it is the long weekend, most of our campus buildings are going to be closed for that time period, but some of the locations that are going to be open for operation. And so you're welcome to visit the campus bookstore, the athletics facilities on Saturday. We're also going to have the Q shop, which is a merchandise shop, open on Saturday at Richardson Stadium. I always say it's nice to send your student to go pick up their keys while you take a look maybe in the shop. On the Friday night, we are going to have a sports practice also happening at the same time as those key pickups. And so that's going to be something really cool to see, a little bit behind the scenes with our sports teams. But it's a great spot to pick up your merch. And again, you'll have that available to you on main campus. But so we have a couple different options of items, places that are open on campus. But again, we are limited on those retail outlets.
Thank you. Okay, our next question. Can I bring a trailer or extra vehicles? How much is too much?
Yes, we get this question every single year. And as an overpacker myself, I really connect to this question. But we do ask that students and families only bring a single vehicle for a move-in. So the rooms are furnished. There isn't much additional space for large items. And so if you're bringing some of your totes and your little storage bins, or kind of if you're bringing your clothes drying rack, for example, again, all of the existing furniture in your room has to remain in your room throughout the year. And so you may want to consider that if you're going to be returning home or returning to a space where you have items at any point in time in the fall, for example, maybe bringing that wardrobe, that winter wardrobe at a later date. So for example, maybe during the October reading week that you folks have, that might be a time where you might be visiting folks or getting some of those items. And so I would say pack what you need, bring those summer clothes, and then kind of assess what works best best for you moving forward. I always joke to folks that Kingston it's a great city to be in. It's not Toronto by any means, but I always say when people are trying to figure out how big it is, my assessment is it's big enough for a Sephora, but a little too small for an Apple store. But we have authorized retail outlets that sell those products. But that always, I think for me, helps me visualize what the type of the town is or the city is and kind of visualize how much is accessible there. And so you can always purchase things once you get to Kingston. I always recommend you take a look at your room and get a feel for it first before you start putting a lot of things into it.
Thank you, Emma. Okay, our next question. Can I bring a bike with me and where can I store it?
Yeah, absolutely. So bikes are welcome. And by bikes, I mean kind of the physical mechanical bikes. E-bikes and e-scooters are not allowed on campus. And so that is a university-wide policy that we do have. So if you were thinking about bringing those, I recommend keeping them at home because you will be asked to remove them from campus. We do have limited bike storage on campus. And so we have a few different sites across our both main campus and West Campus. So we have a full bike storage compound at Jean Royce on West Campus. Which is a great spot. It really helps getting from West Campus to main campus if that's what you might be doing with your schedule. We also have a big storage space at Endayan Tiganun today. And then any other spaces on campus, you can find more information about it through the Queen's Commuter Services website. So that's part of the Queen's parking team, and they're going to be able to help support you with that. And then, for example, the Jean Royce bike compound for that storage, it would then get added to your key fob that you're already using for the building. And so you're not going to be fumbling around with more and more keys. The other thing we always do is recommend you register your bike or the serial number on your bike with the city of Kingston, just because should something happen to the vehicle, we have or sorry, not the vehicle. It is a vehicle to an extent, but to your bicycle, we do have record of it, or the city will have record of it, and then that might help in an investigation, for example, if that takes place.
Thank you. Okay, this is going to be our last question just because of time. So what is your favorite part about move-in day?
Move-in day is a culmination of a lot of work and a lot of care and a lot of passion for the work that we do. And I've worked in residence life for about 15 years now, both as a student staff as a professional staff. And I think it's truly when we have the most adrenaline. We are so excited to welcome you. And we really connect back to our experiences that we might have had when we were moving into residences for the first time, or we were moving away from home for the first time, or we're kind of experiencing these big life moments. And so I think that's really exciting for everybody to experience. And we feel that as well. For some of us too, if our folks have, kids that have gone off to university or family members, we understand the big feelings that you might be having. And there's absolutely no problem with having those big feelings. We want to support you. And so I think that's just so joyful to see is how much human connection that we have from everybody. It doesn't matter what the background is, doesn't matter what they're coming from, what program you're in. It's great to see folks finding their connections on campus, but also seeing their current connections and maintaining those connections is amazing as well.
Thank you, Emma, and thank you everyone at home for all of your questions. So I do recognize that we were not able to get to all of them, so I encourage you to visit the residence website or to contact residents at the email reslife@queensu.ca. You can book an appointment or you can get answers to any additional questions that you may have. And if we go forward one slide, there's some upcoming events that I'll tell you about before we wrap up. So if you're interested in learning more about fall orientation, be sure to join our webinar on August 18th. If you'd like the opportunity to ask current students more questions, you can register for the Q&A with Queen Students webinar on August 20th. I will be there. If you have any questions, I can answer them. And then we also have our last summer social on August 22nd. There will be a virtual campus scavenger hunt. So this is a great way to meet your fellow classmates before you even get to campus. So you can learn more about all these events as well as register for them on the Student Experience Office website. And then on the next slide, we have a link to our feedback form. So this is a great opportunity to be entered into a draw for a $50 Q Shop gift card. So we have a feedback form for our webinar series, and we want to hear from all of you. All incoming students, parents, and supporters are encouraged to provide their feedback. It will only take approximately 3 minutes to complete, and it can be done using the QR code on the screen, as well as there is a link in the Q&A discussion section that you can use. You can complete one feedback form per student experience webinar per person. And if you're watching this as a recording, you can also complete the survey. It will close August 31st at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, shortly after our final webinar takes place. So thank you, Emma, and all of our back end support staff for your time this evening. And I want to thank all of you at home for attending. I hope you have an amazing rest of your night, and hopefully we'll see you on move-in day and at some of our other events. So take care, everybody.